Lads, first thing we're going to start off is the triangle law. This is factor C. This is factor A. For argument's sake, A. And then this one here is factor B. Alright? And what the triangle law is basically saying is, if I want to start here and finish here, start at S, finish at F, I have an option. I can take factor C directly, or I can do factor A followed by factor B. Is everybody cool with that? Okay. Next thing after that is the following. I don't necessarily need to take A first followed by B. What happens if I do it the opposite way around? Where I drag B down and follow it by A. Do I get the same answer? Do I end up at the same start and finish points? Yeah. Alright. Now, there is one thing. When you start to draw this triangle, here's the deal. If you draw it this way, see the way it's B followed by A? And I think a lot of you need to know this because you're not great at drawing the triangles. Factor C and factor B are starting at the same point. Would that make sense? In this triangle, factor C and factor B start at the same point. Does that make sense? If I draw it the other way, what happens? Where I throw B up here, and I throw A across here. Who's starting at the same point now? What? It's always one from the left. It's always the factor that's on its own. Do you get that? It's always C. It's always the factor that's on its own, and it's always one of the other two. And the other two always join end to end. See that fulcrum? See that joining point? The two that are on the right hand side always join end to end every time. Okay? Now that we have all that in our heads, we're going to apply this logic to the actual question. Okay? So, what we have is a clay pigeon is north 70 degrees west. So, let's draw our north, east, west diagram, alright? So, we'll go for this one. North 70 degrees west. Okay with that? So, this is technically 20. That's 70. Okay? From a shooter. Pigeon. Shooter. Okay? 120 meters. The bullet is fired at 250 meters per second. The clay pigeon follows a line of north 50 degrees east. Okay, so let's try that out. North 50 degrees east. I realize I'm going to have to pull this up and out of the way. So north 50 degrees east. Now, the deal is, I don't know how long to make this diagram, do I? Is it over here? Is it here? I don't know, okay? But I'm just going to join them up anyway. Now, the bullet itself, which will be, I'll use this in pink. I don't know if I'm shooting this way or I'm shooting this way. I have no idea. So I'm just going to draw the triangle anyway. Done, alright? Now, let's write down which one do we want to be stationary. Do we want P to be stationary or do we want S to be stationary? What did I choose? I'm using completely different letters than I used in my own answer. Bullet for B. Instead of shooter, call that bullet. Alright? And instead of pigeon, call it the clay pigeon. So B and C. That's okay with you guys? Alright. So I chose C to be stationary. So if you choose C to be stationary, what does that mean? What does that mean about this point here? It doesn't move. Okay? It's the first thing. Now, so what we say is we're going to go for phi BC. This phi B minus phi c. And what can we do next, lads? Phi bc equals, sorry, phi bc plus phi c equals phi b equals phi bc plus phi c. Pause it there. Next thing we're going to go for is magnitude and direction, right? Do we know how? What's the deal I tell you about this? If you have 4 pieces out of 6, you can do it no bother. So you want 4 pieces of information out of 6, and you want their magnitude and their direction. Do we know the velocity of the bullet? Do we know the velocity of the bullet? What is it? 250. Do we know the direction of the bullet? No. Right. Do we know the velocity of the clay pigeon? What's it going? 40. What direction is it going? I think we did it here, wasn't it? That's 40 degrees, isn't it? Because that's 50. So we can say east 40 degrees north if you want. We're one item of information away from having everything we need. What do we know about, if C was stationary, what direction does B need to go in to hit it? So what do you think? C can't move, so what does that mean about B? It needs to travel this direction relative to C to hit it. So what direction is that? West 20 degrees, north. Okay, so west 20 degrees north. Alright? Now, even if you haven't drawn your diagram yet, here's what you do. What did we say earlier using the triangle law? Which two have to have the same starting point? Phi b has to have the same starting point as either of the other two, doesn't it? So what can we say? Pick one of them. You can pick phi bc or phi c. Which one do you want to pick first? Oh. Phi bc. Right. West 20 degrees north, unknown how long to make it. Is that okay? Now, which one does that join with end to end? So at this blue point here, which one should that one join with? No, phi b would have, so phi b would have the, this is phi b here, it has the same starting point, but I don't know what I don't know any direction for phi b, do I? I don't know what direction to put that bullet in, so I'm just going to leave that there. But what joins end to end with phi bc? Exactly, and what direction does that go in? East 40 degrees north. Once again, don't really know what length to make it. But, yeah, don't know what length to make it, right? But what angles do I know? Let's think about this. What angle do I know here? You said phi bc, didn't you? That's 20 degrees. That makes that 20 degrees. And that's 40 degrees. So what does that make that angle there? 60. Okay? You said that this is phi bc. So what's the speed of phi bc? We don't know. Does anybody know what is the speed of PC? What? 40. And does anybody know the speed of the bullet? Now, alright, 2 options for you. I'll take the most direct route this time. We know, so just stick with me for a second. We know this is 120 meters. That's meters, that's distance, not speed, isn't it? How'd you convert speed into distance? Multiply by the time it takes to get there. So that right there would be the T method, if you want to use that. Okay? And what you can simply say here is, you have it in one here. So you can say that it's sine 60. 250 t over sine 60 equals what, guys? Pick another angle. What? Or pick one of the other sides even. I suppose you might want to pick, call this x, I suppose. And what do we have here? Sine x over 40t. The t's will cancel, won't they? And I'll have access to what sine x is. So sine x is 40 over 250. Then you're successfully able to get that angle. So you'll be able to find out all three angles of the triangle, and then you'll be able to put your answers together. Sorry for running out of time. I'll fix it up tomorrow, okay?